structure.
Okay.
The Kazakhs and Jana do get locked in. Oh, Zimo, you're back. Oh,
Yes.
hello.
Sorry.
Welcome.
I had to restart the stream real quick to... Let me just... Okay, we should be good now. I'm not sure, but my mic was not working for a second there, so... we should be back in and ready to go.
Yeah, well, these teams are still going with it. Currently, Mimo, Easy getting their lock-ins, of course, so I think the biggest surprise is the Nar pick.
Yeah, there was no Narn World. It was on the patch that was a little before he got all those quality of life, all those little minor buffs. So now a lot of top laners have been practicing him in solo queue, and he's actually a really powerful top laner. His skill cap is a little bit higher, but when played correctly, when balancing his different forms, he can really be a huge bully in the top lane, especially after he gets a couple kills. And if you time your teleports correctly, you're really rewarded for good teleport usage as a top laner when you're playing Gnar, because you can come into a fight and just wreak havoc, and it can be really powerful, especially in the mid to late game.
All right, and well, since that has been a popular thing, we get to see it in competitive play finally. And over on the other side, for Cognitive, they do go for the Malphite lock-in as well as picking up Corki for Zerbic, and that's been a really popular choice of this Worlds, and he hasn't had any major changes since the patches that those were on. And let's see what they end up locking in over on the side of Zenith right now. Nami, Vayne being hovered, and then Alex Man does get that hyper carry lock-in.
Yeah, and he's known to play those really late game focused hyper carries, and this is looking to be a really strong team comp for Zenith, and it's really looks like it's team fight heavy. Orianna was a champion that we didn't really see much throughout the World Championships, and well, granted, we are playing on a different patch, but the mid lane hasn't been changed all too much. And Orianna is one of those really team fight oriented champions as well. On the other side, we're going to see a Malphite pick, so we're seeing both teams going for the more team fight oriented style, and we'll have to see how it plays out. Of course, Nami and Janna are going to be the support pickups, which is pretty standard. Nami, Janna, Thresh has been what we've seen for quite a long time across competitive play, and even coming into these new patches, that's probably not going to change.
Not only that, the Ahri now being hovered here for Love if they do get that lock-in, changing over last second at Lux, that ends up being it, so that mid lane matchup should be quite interesting. Now, with the way these two teams are lined up, remember it is best of 3, so they will have a couple of chances to adjust to one another's style if they need to, but both teams relatively new lineups. Zenith kind of coming out of that old no dice gaming, as well as picking up a lot of other players more recently. Solo King coming in and replacing Acadian, and then Cognitive is pretty much an entirely new roster with the exception of Trance Therapy. How do you think these two teams will go at each other, since they've only really had limited chances to scrim?
Yeah, these are two really up and coming teams, and it's hard to gauge the strength because it's been a while since we've seen some challenger tournaments. So a lot of these teams have been practicing in the dark. They've been playing the ranked 5s ladder. They've been scrimming personally, getting themselves ready. There is going to be the online portion of the for the qualifier for the tournament, the expansion tournament coming up. So they're going to take a lot of teams from I think it's the top 32 teams from the ladder, the top 16 teams from the ladder. It's going to get narrowed down. And so a lot of these teams have been grinding out, scrimming, trying to get prepared for it. And you see a lot of these guys, maybe if you watch some high elo streams, you see a lot of these guys all over the place up there. So a lot of people have yet to see what these teams can really do. And I think these are two really good up and coming teams. And so, I mean, we'll have to see. I know that Cognitive has just made a recent roster swap as well. They were using Frostalicious in the top lane. They've recently started using Brandon for the win. And so we'll have to see how these two guys are going to match up. But this is just the quarterfinals. We have lots more matches coming in today, and then we also have semifinals tomorrow, and the finals happening early next week. So these guys are definitely, if they are victorious today, we're going to be able to build a story around them and hopefully give them some exposure as we head into the expansion tournament.
Absolutely. This was really one of the last chances of Season 4 to see the competition that the Challenger Circuit can put out right now until we do get towards that LCS expansion tournament, until we get into the next season in general. But this isn't, as you mentioned, the only lineup for today. We have quite a lot of matches coming at you after this set. Remember, it is a best 2 out of 3 between Zenith and Cognitive. We will also not be showing, but we will have Boreal eSports taking on Enemy eSports. That will be off the stream, but we will bring you results. After this set, we will have Team Lol Pro battle it out with XDG Gaming, both of which are going to be rocking brand spanking new rosters. And finally, we'll close out the night with AKA and Teammate. Teammate also going to be an LCS team, but just squeezed into being able to compete through the end of this tournament. So, with that being said and done, these guys are getting ready to load up onto the Rift. We're going to have to take a very, very quick break. Get a message from our sponsors. Remember, you are watching the Black Monster Cup, brought to you by Western Digital. Guys, we will be right back in just a few. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The first match of the Black Monster Cup playoffs for the fall is getting underway as all 5 members of Zenith eSports clustering over for what looks like a bit of an early invade. All 5 members of Cognitive are also making a move here, but see if we have a minute to be able to introduce these guys. Up in the top lane for Zenith, it is the solo king. Mimo will be filling out the jungle easy in the mid. Alex the Man on AD carry and K1 on support. We can't introduce the others because it might be an early first blood. Love Lava, what are you doing? He goes down. That's first blood for Alex the Man.
Yeah, that was a quick first blood. Not reacting quick enough there, and he's going to go down for a quick first blood, and they're just going to get the heck out of there after they place some deep wards. So a really great early start. The first blood does go over to Alex the Man, so he's going to be able to back and get some sustain, which is going to be really helpful in lane as Vayne. With Vayne and Nami, they're going to have so much staying power in that lane to be able to just keep the CS up, because in the later stages of the game, Vayne will outscale Corki, and so getting that early start is really going to help him out.
Yeah, Cognitive really wasn't prepared for that at all. They allowed a lot of deep wards to get into their jungle. It really looks like it mentally threw them for just a minute, even though they had grouped up, and we didn't get to introduce them, but they are Brandon for the win. Grenier in the jungle, Love in the mid, Zerbeck AD carry, Trance Therapy, you might all know him on support. So I mean, that is just one kind of shock and awe thing to start the game off, but do you think that's going to get in their heads for this set?
It has to. That's the first thing that happened in this series, and I know that's going to be in the back of Lova's mind. We'll have to see if it's going to be positive or negative, because sometimes players can make a mistake and it sort of encourages them or sort of lights a fire under them, telling them, hey, I got to do better in this game. So we'll have to see how that's going to affect Lova as this game is going to go on. And we're going to pronounce it. We were having a little discussion. We're going to pronounce it Grenier for now, but we'll have to see the jungler for Cognitive. We'll ask him after the game how he pronounces his name, but I've seen him all over the place in solo queue on streams and stuff. But we'll just go with go with Grenier for now until we're corrected.
Until further notice.
Until we're
That's the official
corrected.
pronunciation, and we'll hear some word back later on all of that. Speaking of Grenier, he is going ahead and moving straight up to his red buff. Should be heading towards the top, but it is really hard to gank a Gnar, especially with that kiting power that he has. They do know where he is, however. Pinging it down right over by that red area. Everything else, normal lanes. The extra bit of gold that Alex was able to acquire didn't really do much aside from converting to vision. Still, they are playing quite well.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be a big deal. The extra sustain, the extra vision is something that you really want as a bottom lane, especially as Vayne. You just kind of want to let Vayne sit down there and farm for a large portion of the game for her to be effective, especially against an AD carry who's so strong in the mid game like Corki. You don't want to force any unnecessary fights because the team will really punish you. And you look at a lot of the picks for Cognitive at this stage, and a lot of them are very mid-game teamfight focused. And I think that's a lot of that's going to start with Corki trying to get ahead in this bot lane, trying to take advantage of Vayne's weakness in that area.
Yeah, for the time being, actually 2 members here of Cognitive, Love and Grenier, looking to move. Well, they just put a little bit of vision down. They do spot out that pink ward, but they're not able to clear it. Love is having a little bit of trouble dealing with Easy. There's a lot of damage coming out of that Orianna early on. I think he is actually stacking the command attack, so it's much more sustained damage focus. Nonetheless, the laning phase is starting to very slowly slip in favor of Zenith eSports. See if they can keep it that way.
Yeah, and another, ooh, here we go, gank from Mimo.
Yeah, Nemo's getting his action started up nice and early. Those double buffs are helping him out. Whoa! Forcing the flash out of Love. He does stay alive, but one summoner down, and that is an effective gank from Mimo.
Yeah, Mimo just walked straight up into the lane.
Didn't even have ult. Didn't need it.
And there is a few bugs still with the spectator lane. It looks like the chat shows up randomly at times, and you could see the lag proclaimed from Love, so that could have been what affected him at the beginning of the game. But hopefully that's fixed now. But like I said, Mimo just walks up into the lane, not using any summoners, and saving the Q for the inevitable flash. So really patient play by him. An interesting choice by Easy to actually pick up the exhaust. That's specific. Oh, flash from Mimo.
Oh, he's got no flash. Love is in trouble. They're gonna have Grenier who uses his heal. Still up. Love gets away. Oh my goodness, they turn it around onto Easy, and now Mimo's being chased away. What a turnaround from Cognitive.
That was fantastic play by Love. Not only the fact that he was able to escape from that, but just the fact that he used the minions to his advantage to sort of block Mimo and block Easy from going in. And it was a really aggressive. You never see, well, not never, but you rarely see an Orianna flash in aggressively like that in a very passive mid lane. So just very well played by Love. Making up for giving up that first blood in the beginning of the game. Going to hand that over to Grenier. So that's going to really help him get his jungle rolling.
Yeah, that was really greedily aggressive move by Easy, and I think they just were sure that they had Love due to the lack of flash, but Summoner Heal is just as effective sometimes, and he was able to walk it out. Now Grenier caught out in the jungle as he tries to get himself a couple of wraiths, but Mimo guarding his territory.
Yep. And I was saying before the gank happened in the mid, the Summoner choice by Easy, picking up the exhaust. And that was a little bit rough in that situation. He actually flashed in an exhausted Love, which is not really that useful, especially early in the game. Lux's damage is pretty low. He wasn't in any danger of dying. He used the exhaust defensively. And then without flash, without exhaust, Grenier was just able to come in and clean up really easily. So having that summoner is going to be really good for the late game. But in this early game, being aggressive with it just did not pay off.
No, it was a bit of a mistake on their part. Still maintaining a slight gold lead, but that's not going to mean too much just right now. Alex the man doing his best to kite away from Zerbic in the bot. We haven't really talked about this bot lane. It has been the quietest part of the field, but Alex is looking to change just that. Dodges away from the Howling Gale. So far, Zerbic and Trance are getting the better of him, though, pushing him in.
Yeah, this is... The CS, though, is really telling in this lane, and you can tell the lane control from Alex the man at K1 is pretty impressive. They've kept the lane in about the same spot this entire time, and they're putting themselves in a position where they're sort of focusing Zerbic to use spells to push the lane, and so it's letting them just keep it right here, which is making Zerbic and Trance Therapy have no room to play aggressive. So the lane control right there, that first blood really helped them because it's a sustain. And now in a lane where, I mean, you might give a little edge to Corky. Alex the Man is coming out on top in CS, and they're just doing fantastically, putting themselves in a place where if they get the right vision, if they have the timers on wards, they can open up for potential gank down there in the bot.
Speaking of vision, both teams investing very heavily in making sure the rivers and parts of the jungle are heavily sighted out. Cognitive actually getting the better of that one right now. They have a couple of pinks scattered around the map, and not so much focus up in the top lane, but that's Solo King really doing work on Gnar, keeping a healthy CS lead over Brandon for the win.
That's really what I was talking about. It's just so easy once you get ahead. Well, not easy, but that's just part of the champion now with Gnar. If you get ahead, you can really start bullying out your opponent in lane, especially an opponent like Malphite, who it's actually really tough to CS on Malphite. You don't really have any reliable ways to CS under the turret other than your E, which can be hard to use.
Oh my goodness, Lova. He gets a little bit of a late combo on him. There is the Lux Laser, but it's not going to be enough to stop Easy or Mimo. They take him down 1, 2, 3. There's a blue buff transfer.
Yeah. And probably that gank was planned off of the flash timing from Lova, because as you can see, both of his summoners, well, his heal was up, but his flash coming up in about 3 seconds just came up right now. So if that's the case, that was a perfectly timed gank from Easy and Mimo to be able to take Lova out just seconds before his flash is going to come back up. And there really wasn't too much that he could do in that situation. Just a very well-placed gank from Mimo.
Yeah, really, really well done. And Mimo has been kind of where he needed to, other than the earlier move where they just completely missed out on Lova. They've been bullying incessantly, and that has shown through in, you know, not just the CS difference, but the item differential now.
Yep. And we'll have to see how that plays out. The big thing is going to be what this game is going to be like when we start seeing objectives being focused. It's kind of hard to tell who's going to come out on top of the early team fights, because Malphite great in team fights, Orianna also great in team fights, but they really don't do much damage. So it's going to be on how good their initiations can be. How good is the shockwave going to be? How good is the ultimate from Malphite going to be? So I'm curious to see how this is going to play out as we come into the mid game, because I think that's going to be really telling. And Solo King just continuing though his dominance up there in the top.
All right, well, you talked about objectives. Looks like Cognitive was listening. They're making a move down here. Grenade Trance and Zerbeck are all in the area with Lova moving forward too. And this is not seen out by Zenith eSports. This could be the gold they need to get back into this game. Only 1,300 behind, and that's about to be closed right now. And that was a really well-timed Dragon attempt by Cognitive, and it pays dividends.
Whoa, Brandon actually going aggressive on a Solo King in the top lane. Used the unstoppable force. I think he thought that Solo King was actually under the turret, and put some good damage on him, but isn't able to quite take him down with the teleport summoners. Kind of hard for Malphite to finish people off earlier in the game, and Zenith just decides to concede that dragon, because there's no point in fighting a team that's obviously stronger than you in the mid game, even with the top lane dominance that they're showing. The rest of the map is a lot more normalized than the top lane is, and so with the Corky, with the Kazakhs, it's just really hard for them to be able to pick a fight, even though they had decent vision control around that area. Maybe not necessarily in the dragon area, but they knew that it was going on.
Yeah, they definitely got a timer off of it, if not an actual one, just a soft one. Now, speaking of that top lane dominance, as Solo King has really been making life hard for Brandon right now. That tower is nearly done, but it looks like Cognitive is completely okay with that now. With the gold they got from the dragon, they get right back into it. They've invested it not as much into wards, but filling out their item builds. And yeah, as you mentioned, their mid-game power spikes are just starting to come into effect, and Zenith isn't really interested in finding out just how much that'll hurt.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Zenith isn't making moves here. You can tell that they're a lot more late game focused. They have the Vayne, they have the Orianna, so they can afford to sit back and wait for the time being, especially since their lanes are winning. But I'd assume that they understand that they have a lead this far in this game, and I would assume that they would try and use the lead that Solo King has to try and make a move on the other lanes, maybe a teleport, because Zerbeck and Transerpy have been pushed up so far in this lane, and it's not too hard to wrestle vision control back as long as they can find out where Grinny is at any time during this laning phase.
Well, they were able to ping him out when he did wander through that lane. not really attempting to gank, just kind of trying to get a fix on where Zenith eSports are. Right now he's making a move towards the mid, but he's going to back halfway through. Hasn't really been ganking much, but that counter gank in the mid lane did set him up with a little bit of extra gold. No boots just yet, worth noting. Just the Elder Lizard, and he still has been able to get around.
Yeah, Kha'Zix can tend to be more of a farm-heavy jungler. There's a couple different ways you can play Kha'Zix, and the best way, in my opinion, is playing the right place at the right time kind of jungle style, which can lead you to a lot stronger of a late game as the jungle Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix can fall into the trap where you're trying to gank too much, but you're not successful because you just lack that amount of hard CC. So the counter ganks, farming your jungle, being at the right place at the right time, having great counter ganks is sort of the most successful path that you can take as Kha'Zix, because it allows you to get the early Spirit of the Elder Lizard, farm the jungle, get more items, get the gold you need, and then be a real force to be reckoned with in the later game, and you can serve as a functional assassin, basically.
And with the laning phase kind of prolonged here, it's going to be on Zenith eSports to try and keep their lead up. Yes, they do have that, but the mid game is the time for Cognitive to strike. They haven't really made too many moves here, but this red buff is kind of being contested with Easy making moves here, as well as Solo King coming on down with no more lane to farm up. Maybe they were looking for a catch, but did not get bitten on by Cognitive, and that red buff goes over to Mimo.
Oh, we have aggression in the bot lane.
Oh, here we go. Teleport coming in as well. It may not last that long. Alex, he's on one side. He gets a heal popped off. Another teleport coming in. Solo King and Brandon are both here. Unstoppable Force is available, but Zenith splits up and away. Alex, the man, way too low to continue this fight, and it looks like they'll just back off.
Yeah, decent aggression there. Oh, Grenade finds Mimo.
Yep, and he peels away.
Yep.
That was a tasty-looking red buff, but he didn't quite have the damage. It seems like there's just been like slight timing errors from both teams in initiating these fights, but they are looking for a little bit more. Grinny and Brandon are making moves into the jungle. They weren't going to find anything, but nice 30 gold in their pockets from clearing the pink.
Yeah, smart play all around. Very cautious play all around. The bottom lane, as soon as both teams saw the teleport from the enemy team, they immediately scattered and backed off from the fight. So really nothing coming of any of that aggression down in the bot lane. The Blade of the Ruin King is finished for Max the Man, so I can imagine that they have a feeling in their head, but it's a huge Trinity Force finish for Zerbeck as well, so we'll have to see. I don't think that aggression is going to be rewarded in the near future if they try that move again without the help, the assistance of a teleport from their team. And really though, I would expect a little more to come out from that topside jungle invade from Zenith. I said they really need to try and make something out of the fact that their top lane is so far ahead, and a red buff invade after that top tier turret goes down is the perfect way. Trying to get deep vision out of that jungle is a great way, and they got the vision. They just didn't get much else out of it. Whoa, Shockwave in the mid.
Yep, there we go. Not going to be enough damage to take down Love obviously, but he does also get dissonance there, and that's going to force Love to think twice about committing to this dragon attempt in the next 30 seconds. Cognitive looking to take control of this side of the map, but there is one ward in the pit that they do not see. Instead, they focus down towards the bot and see if they can pressure Alex the man away. Here comes a long side gank. Brandon is here, so is Grenier. Alex knows it. He gets his ult. Final hour. Can he kite away? Yeah, he's doing just on fine. And he will force them off of that wrong side of the tower. They should be able to take this one down. However, what does Zenith answer with in the mid? Laser gets fired onto Easy. This dragon is going to be up for grabs in the next couple seconds, but that tower is down, and all four members rather of Cognitive Gaming are looking to move towards that. Looks like they get the Kha'Zix jumping into the pit, starting the dragon off nice and early. This should be a 3-member dragon attempt, and looks like Zenith isn't responding. Taking a mid instead. Oh no, wait, they're going for Lover. They might find him. There they go! And this Nami ult completely late to the party, but they will take down the tower in trade, and that's going to be a dragon for a tower. For a tower and 2 towers, and maybe they can make a third one happen.
Yeah, it looks like they're all heading up towards the top lane. They already have a wave on that turret, and all 5 members will be there. There's just no way that Cognitive's going to be able to defend this, so a great job. And that time the offensive exhaust actually paid off for Easy in the mid. Very aggressive positioning on the Orianna thus far this game, but Cognitive responds. They get a turret of their own, they get a dragon of their own, so that's both dragons so far in this game that they've managed to get. And we'll have to see. I mentioned earlier that they have this sort of mid-game spike with the Corki Triforce, with Kha'Zix having a pretty farm-heavy early game. We'll have to see what they can make of it. They don't want to sit back because by the looks of it, they're going to get outshined in the late game by this team comp from Zenith.
Yeah, a little bit strange that they focused so heavily on that bot side but neglected the mid, and it was really all to Zenith's game. They managed to get 2 towers and a kill in exchange for 1 and a dragon. So while Cognitive has stayed relevant in the gold game, they're losing ground slowly but surely, and here comes Solo King. Can he find Grenier before he backs? No, he won't, but he does get a deep ward down in there, and that's going to extend the vision control. You just see a ring of blue wards around that jungle in the deep area, and they're looking to take a blue buff.
You have to be a little bit wary as Cognitive right now, seeing how far Solo King is ahead. Malphite is a champion that can function with less gold. He doesn't need as much gold to be effective because you're mostly bringing him for his disruptive power and his ability to initiate fights. So as long as he's tanky enough, then he'll be able to do his job. But at the same time, Solo King has managed to gain a 70 CS lead over him, and that's just really impressive considering it was 1v1 almost the entire time. So we'll have to see how those guys will be of use to their team as this game progresses, and if Solo King can make use of that big lead that he gained early on from not having any jungle intervention.
Well, they do manage to take out the blue. Looks like Alex the Man is continuing to try and pressure that bot side. He's just got to be careful not to overextend, waiting in that brush and just clearing minions whenever he gets a chance. But most of Cognitive is looking to push up the middle right now. It looks like both teams are kind of trying to find each other, but Zenith is just trying to avoid any upfront confrontation since they do have that slight lead that they're holding on to during the mid-game power spike. Up in the top, Solo King is going to be able to push this one out, but again, it's kind of been hit and run for this Zenith team for the time being.
A little bit of a lull here. Trance Therapy deciding to go with the ever so risky Majays Janna.
Yep, he's got 0-0-0. It can only go up from there.
He's thinking positive right now. You're usually pretty safe on Janna. She's one of those supports that can be a little bit tricky to kill.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why it's been such a popular build to get the stacks earlier too. Oh, Alex, wow. Nice dodging mechanics on that Vayne, able to just escape all the big ones that come his way, as well as the Howling Gales. Got to be careful, though. They're pinging Mimo right now on the side of Cognitive. No to back to the tower. It's only at half health, but that's still just enough. And they'll bring Grenier in, too. Do they want to make this one a 3v3? He's not seen out just yet, although he did walk dangerously close to a ward on the other side of the white camp. Oh, and here comes Easy. They're going to be able to spot this one, but what are they going to do about it? Making moves up to the tower as well. They clear away the Janna shield. Mimo's going all in for it. They will be able to take a shockwave, and the wave not connecting at all, but that will secure them the turret, and they back on away.
That's great vision control right there from Cognitive. They do end up giving up a turret, but they would have given up a lot more. They had about 6 wards on their blue side of the jungle, including that little one in the river there. So they knew that the next course of action for Zenith was going to be that bot lane because it was the last tier 1 turret standing.
Oh, Easy's on the wrong side of his own tower, and that might be a pickup. That is the first kill going over to Love, and the Medjai stacks go up to 1 for Trance Therapy.
And a great response there from Cognitive as well. That's not something that you really expect. They used the vision control that they had across the river to sneak up on Easy and get a turret out of it as well. So this game's still a little bit close. Zenith has been about 1k gold in the lead for almost this entire game thus far, but it looks like that's going to be evened up as Cognitive looks to take the second tier mid lane.
Oh, wow, unstoppable force. Alex, goodbye! And he gets knocked out 1, 2, 3. There's a teleport coming in from Solo King, but it's not going to be in enough time to save that second tower, so in a massive power swing, Cognitive Gaming actually gets themselves a lead this game.
Catching Alex the Man out, both of his summoners still available as well, so not reacting quick enough to be able to flash that unstoppable force. A great pickup there, and I love that combination, the unstoppable force and the ultimate, the Lux laser, picking up the immediate kill. And they pick up 2 turrets off of 2 picks, so what a great way for them to sort of get themselves back in this game, and they even it up.
Yeah, really, really nice play there, comboed, and it just shock and awe value, not allowing Alex to use his summoners. And what does Zenith respond with here? They've had a lead. This is the first time they'll find themselves in a more vulnerable position. They have had better positioning and vision, yes, but best of preparation can do nothing when you have that quicker reaction times.
Yeah, and also if anybody knows how to turn off the random chat announcements on the spectator client when anybody purchases an item, if you can go ahead and tweet it at me at AsimoCutie.
Soliciting audience help here.
At AsimoCutie. If you know how to turn it off, just let me know what the setting is, because it's just random item purchases are popping up in the chat and forcing the chat to be popped up in the spectator client. So this is an interactive stream.
Yeah, people get to see it all happening in real time. So
think of it as trivia.
Oh, and you can track all the stats, right?
Yeah.
So Dragon's probably going to go into the pockets of Zenith, but if they want to challenge this one, Cognitive might. Oh my goodness, Gridney, he gets caught up. He gets his ultimate out, jumping away, but Mimo's not done with him. He flashes out of the Jarvan ultimate, but they do force him away, and this will be the Dragon attempt live. Final hour pop by Alex the Man as he's able to clear away that pink ward quite quick. And they're still coming in for round 2. They have to peel away from this one. Cognitive feeling so confident. Unstoppable force landing on Mimo. There's the Lux Laser, but he's still up. That rock is getting cracked like a nut. Has to flash off. Easy's in trouble. That's a lot of Corki damage, and he flashes away too. Easy finally goes down. That's a pickup going over to Zerback with the burn, and Love Lava leading the charge. And this might be a Cognitive Dragon now. But again, Zenith is not done. Solo King coming in with the boomerang. I think they might be done though.
Yeah, looks like they are going to be done. They're just too low health to do anything else. And I mean, even after what looked to be sort of a botched initiation from Brandon, he only caught Jarvan with the Lux Laser and Unstoppable Force combination, which is not what you want to do. I guess it forced him off and got the smite out of the picture, but even without the best initiation, they still managed to come out on top. And that was sort of that mid-game spike that I was talking about. They have such a strong combination of abilities. They have the upfront damage from the Unstoppable Force and from the Lux Laser and the Lux E, and then they have the great cleanup potential from Corki and from Kha'Zix. So there's just not much that Zenith can do to be able to keep themselves in the game right now. And Alex the Man is just having a lot of trouble even getting close to the fights because he has to wait until all these important cooldowns are down. And actually, they're going to try a sneaky Baron, and I think they're going to be able to get this.
Yeah, zero vision anywhere near the Baron pit right now for Cognitive. It's a 24.5-minute one. Looks like it will go over. Oh, the Lux Laser! Not enough time. They finally realized just a little bit too late what's going on. But Zenith eSports is able to sneak out of that one, and they get themselves a little bit back into this game now with the Purple Worm. So even though the power has been swinging in favor of Cognitive, perfect Dragon control, they let that one slip through their fingers.
Yeah, and that's just a big sort of lull in their control of the game. They were riding on that high from winning that team fight, getting that dragon, and taking the lead, and now they're sort of in a position where they have to play back and play passive in a time where this is when they'd want to make big plays and start pushing on. They have the advantage. They have that strong mid game, and they just can't push into a baroned up team right now unless they have full vision control of an area where they know that they're not going to get 5v5'd. So we'll have to see how they're going to react to this, but this is a great opportunity for Zenith to get back into the game.
Yep. They also have that late game scaling on their side, so the longer this game goes, the better in favor it will be for them. Alex the Man getting himself a little bit extra farm in that bot side. Also has the red buff here, but look at this. Cognitive making a push on the top. Can they defend this one? The Orianna ball comes in. There is a wave completely decimated. Solo King still doing pretty fantastic, but he's less and less effective now that this game has gone on a little bit longer with the items he does have. And Cognitive moving as a 3-man unit, not really able to get much here.
Yeah, and like I said, not much they can do. They don't really want to push against the baroned up team, and they sort of just have to play passive. And basically this game, once this Baron buff wears out from Zenith, if they don't try and make any pushes off of it, it's just going to be back to square one. It's just going to be back to even. And you'd have to think that Zenith is going to start to outscale the team comp of Cognitive, especially in the AD carry department. But it's all going to come down to the initiation. If Alex the Man can avoid those initial combos and be able to come to a fight in a clean up position, then they're going to be set. Then Zenith is going to have a pretty good time in the fight, especially with a great shockwave. But at the same time, if Brandon and Love Lava managed to get that combo where they took out Alex the Man instantly earlier in the game, then they could just clean up a fight right there just from that combo alone.
Yeah, comes all down to positioning right now, and they get command attack moving out there, trying to zone. Not going to be enough as the wave clear is too strong for Cognitive. Zenith backs away, looking to take little advantages where they can, but now that they find themselves in a slight deficit, see if they continue to push forward aggressively. They do have a few options here with Solo King buying them time in the mid while they send 4 members towards this bot side. Here comes the final spark from Love Lava, but it's not enough to quite clear up, and this tower will be going not as low as it could be. really just testing the waters here as they poke it out and keep wandering through this jungle. So much vision invested into this side of the map.
They're playing pretty cautiously, even while having the Baron buff. That just shows how afraid they are of that initiation from Cognitive. They really don't want to get close. And you can see Brandon just positioning himself relatively aggressively. He's putting himself in a position where he can start a fight if need be. But I can't see him doing that right now, just because it's just so tough to go into that Baron up team. Both teams playing relatively cautious in this one.
Yeah, fights have been all sorts of topsy-turvy this game. Looks like they might finally get themselves a tower for the trouble. Baron buff still active, but they are deathly afraid of wherever Brandon might be. Every time he has come into play, that unstoppable force has turned the tide of a fight. Can they finish off this mid tower or move back to the bottom? They've been slowly chipping away at it while the minion wave builds up top. With Brandon up there, he does have the teleport available, but will they force him to spend it? They are looking to push towards this bot side, and here's Grenier and friends to the rescue, but the tower is down. Yep. So is the mid.
So they are going to get a little bit out of this. 2 turrets. It's better than nothing from that Baron. Rewarding themselves for taking that. The dragon is up in about a minute, so not really something that they're going to do there. Looks like they have the blue buff time as well, so they're going to wait for that one to spawn. Basically take away as much as they can from Cognitive. Actually, it doesn't look like...
No, I think they might have had the missed timer there.
Yeah.
So Cognitive's 5-man in the mid right now. They're just rushing up it, and that's going to force everyone on Zenith to back in a hurry to try and get there, but they get cold feet at the last minute. Walking away, they might have been able to have an inhibitor turret for that. Instead, they're going to go for some jungle invades.
Yep. And best thing that they can do right now is try and force a fight. They're sort of on a time clock right now. They want to be able to finish this game as quick as they can. And now that they know the Baron buff, or the Baron has dissipated from Zenith, they're going to try and look for a catch, look for a great initiation so they can blow this game wide open, because they know that it's probably about even right now. And
well, Azumo, it's a pretty good thing that Trance Therapy is wearing that Janus skin, because can you say Death Brush? Well, they take a little bit of a break from that as Zenith does not bite, and now it is Zenith's turn to make a move forward. This is Mimo just tanking the turret up for just a second. Wave is arriving, but everybody from Cognitive is as well. However, whoa, here comes the unstoppable force, flashed away, and it doesn't go on anybody. Meganar knocking Grenier back in. They're still taking the tower down. This will be the fight. Shockwave lands. Mimo, there's the wave coming in. Lux Laser going to take easy and Alex the man low, but it might be the fight in favor of Zenith eSports. Trance Therapy gets his ultimate off. It's not going to be enough. The Monsoon doesn't heal for enough damage. Solo King, he's low, staying alive. Nobody goes down. Amazing. 0 fatalities in K1 being chased away, but they're completely afraid of the Oriana ball damage, and Zenith gets out with only some scratches, and they manage to take down that inhibitor turret. Big minion wave up top. What does Cognitive do from here?
Wow, that was impressive, if just for the fact that nobody died. Almost every single ultimate use, hard engagements, hard initiations, and then nobody ends up dying. That just shows you how cautious these guys are playing. As soon as they get low in a fight, they're flashing out, they're using their disengage spells, they're using all of their summoners defensively instead of offensively, with the exception of Brandon there. Great reaction speed by Alex the Man to flash the flash ultimate from the Malphite. Probably kept him alive because he's yet to build any defensive items, so he's going to be taking a lot of damage from the Rabadon's Lux Laser. And I mean, they do get an inhibitor turret out of it, but really the position of the game is still almost exactly where it was. The open inhibitor could come into play as this game progresses. It opens up the opportunity for maybe a backdoor play, but it's usually pretty unlikely, especially since they don't really have a split pusher on their team. Nar, not really the split pushing type. And Baron spawning in about 5 seconds, so that could be the next point of contention.
Looking to wrestle a little bit of control on this map. This game has been neck and neck, with both teams really unwilling to engage one another. Mostly off the back of Brandon's ultimates have really been the only times we've seen these fights happen, but Baron has now spawned and Zenith is making moves in that general direction. This time, Cognitive knows exactly what is happening, and they will clear vision out of the pit, with Trance Therapy on the other side of it and the rest of Cognitive closing in.
I like the Death Bush strat from Cognitive. It was a little bit risky, but if someone had wandered, or a couple players had wandered into the jungle, they had gotten a pick, they could have gotten a lot off of it. They didn't have really any waves pushing, but they could have just as well have tanked up the mid lane turret, maybe gotten an inhibitor off of it. So it was a little risky in the fact that they didn't have too much vision of where Zenith was going, but it could have paid off in huge dividends if they had managed to find a pick or two.
Yep. And as it stands, though, 7 towers to 3 still in favor of Zenith eSports, and Cognitive looking to bum rush down the middle. Will they trade this for the Baron? It is being started right now. Zenith is saying, go ahead and trade us. We'll be able to get back and we'll have that buff. So that tower is falling very quickly. Quite a lot of damage here. 3 backs right now as 2 more members finish up the Baron. Easy gets canceled, so only 2 are going to be back. The Worm will go down, but this might be an inhibitor. First one of the game is going to go over to Cognitive eSports, and Zenith will trade it for the Baron buff. Looks like they want a little bit more for their troubles as well. Solo King getting stunned up by Luxon. 3 more members of Zenith looking to try and intercept. There is a 5-man back, and that is why you take the Scrying Orb. Here comes Easy Shockwave, 5-man it lands! Here comes Mimo, they're gonna make a play right on here. Do they have enough damage in the bank? They might! That's gonna be 1 pick off, Love going down, Grenier as well, so is Brandon. It's only Zerbeck standing as he manages to sneak out in time. Trance Therapy going down as well, and Zenith eSports just might be able to shove this one in. I don't believe it, Azumo.
What a shockwave. 5 men. The Death Bush strat comes back to bite them. They all get caught out, and you're exactly right. That is the best use of Scrying Orb that I have ever seen in tournament play, and the best follow-up on it that I've ever seen. So 20 seconds left on these death timers. They're tearing through these turrets. Zerbeck not going to be able to do anything to defend against this, and it looks like Zenith is going to be able to take this. They have to fight this wave of super minions, but this should be an easy Nexus kill for them, and Zenith taking a 1-game lead over Cognitive in this series.
Yeah, what an explosive finish after an incredibly conservative 30 minutes. 2 Barons, total control by Zenith, 3 Dragons, or 4. I mean, it just went back and forth for the longest time, and that was why an Orianna can turn a fight.
Yeah, and just, I mean, that's exactly what I was talking about. Cognitive was sort of on that time clock. They had to make something happen in a small window, and they traded the inhibitor for the Baron, and they could have gotten away with it, but they decided to go for the risky play, decided to go with the Death Bush, and it came back to bite them, and they lose the game for it. Great capitalization from Zenith to go in instantly all in on that Shockwave and be in a position to do so.
Yep, a lot of potential on the Zenith roster. We'll see if they can do it twice in a row, but we will be taking a quick break. When we return, game number 2 of Zenith eSports versus Cognitive Gaming. The winner will move on to the semifinals to face the